What's up, guys? We're back with another video today. Today we'll be talking about how to prepare your cards for PSA submission. Also a couple tips in there on how I clean my cards, as well as going over some centering stuff. So stay tuned for this video. So a couple things I want you to take a look at is that number 3.5 inches. And then you can't see it on the page, but below that is 2.5 inches. Um, with these prism cards, the length and the width are 2.5 inches on the width, 3.5 inches on the height of the card, or the length of the card, sorry. And so I've just got that on paper, and that's just to kind of give me an idea of where I need to be as far as those two dots on the side of the card go, or the two lines. If you take a handful of them and try to line them up together, you'll see that some of them are a little higher than the others. But let's get into the cleaning portion of the card. As you can see here, we've got some lint on there. That's actually from a microfiber cloth I used earlier. Also, there's fingerprints on there. That blue microfiber cloth has been leaving little lint particles and dust particles all over the card. So I've got a different method that I use rather than a microfiber cloth, because as you can see, the lint still stays and doesn't really go away. It kind of just shifts around the card. So what you'll actually want to do is you'll want to get rid of your microfiber cloth and switch over to a soft dress sock, or if you have a Under Armour or a Nike like dry fit sock, those will work well too, especially because they're pretty thick. They'll pick up the lint, and you'll be able to move those off as well as polish the cards without scratching them. So here I'm just going in one motion, um, one straight motion off the card, whichever way you're going with it. And what I'm actually going to show you now is what I use whenever I clean the cards for actual placing into a card saver one, especially if it's the final time I'm going to get to clean them up and polish them. This is what I do. I take a second penny sleeve, stick it over the top after sticking the card in the bottom half of a penny sleeve. So use two, and this will allow you to clean the cards without putting any fingerprints on the bottom half of the surface. Lets you stabilize the card, but you also don't have to worry about getting any prints on there or getting any sort of scratches on there. So here I'm just going to go through lightly, and go in one straight stroke or line and brush off any of the debris off the cards, polish the card afterwards if I need to, and just one other thing is use like a high intensity light or like a very bright light that you're holding over the card, and what that'll allow is you'd actually see in depth with the naked eye if there's any sort of lint stuck on there or any fingerprints that you just missed while rubbing through. So here there's a little bit of lint left from the microfiber cloth, and so I just kind of get a little bit more precise with it, and it'll come off the card. There's a couple spots at the bottom border next to the rookie's card symbol. So I just wanted to kind of polish that area as well. I try not to use little swirls, but I think for that purpose, especially because there was a small mark on there, just to kind of get that smudge off, I had to use a little bit more pressure. So was able to get that off. So that card's pretty polished now. And that's another good thing about the light is if you have a high intensity light, you can actually see more of any of those smaller marks on there. And another thing you can use is a jeweler's loupe to kind of scan the surface, or a magnifying glass, whichever you prefer. The magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe will let you get a more in-depth view of the surface. And now we're going to switch to the bottom half of the card. Also, to talk about centering here, what I would recommend doing is, especially on these Prism cards, take a ruler, especially like one of those plastic rulers that you would have used in grade school, and just put the card in a card saver in a penny sleeve and measure both borders with the ruler. If you come out even on those, you're probably going to have a better chance of getting a gem mint 10 as far as like the centering goes. Now the surface, this is what we're trying to attack here, is the surface, to get a nice polished surface. So when we do submit, hopefully it passes the PSA eye test, and that's what they like to use, or like to call it, is the PSA eye test. BGS actually gives grades on surfaces, so if you have like a small print line or a small scratch or something, then it's going to knock you down from the 10. And with BGS, you need 3 10 subgrades out of the 4 to get a 10 label with them. I will say that the BGS 10 is worth a lot more than a PSA 10, but at the end of the day, PSA, BGS, both are good grading services. BGS is a little bit more tough to get a 10 with, and a PSA 10 is still a good jump in value as far as the overall value of the card goes. So I'll be sending in a lot of Prism cards to PSA unless I have any cards that I've looked over in depthly and there's not any scratches on there on the front or back that I think might qualify for a BGS 10. Okay, so now I'm just taking more of an in-depth look at the card just to make sure that it's nice and clean. Okay, and so the blue tab on the back, you may be wondering what that's for. The blue tab is actually used for pulling the card out of a card saver 1. So here I'm just using the top portion of the penny sleeve to push the card in. So now it's ready for a card saver 1. And you'll get to see what the tab is used for. Most people have graded, they already know what they need to do, but if you're new to grading cards, especially because a lot of people have entered the hobby, I like to use a tab because the tab will allow me to pull the card out without having any bending of the card saver 1 or trying to wiggle it out of the card saver 1. And the tab is really just made of a post-it note. Just cut off maybe like a third of the post-it note, stick it to the back of the penny sleeve, and place it in the card saver 1. When it gets to PSA, they'll pull the card out with the tab. There's a lot of people that have used tabs before, so they kind of know that the tab is there for that reason. And it just helps ensure that you're not actually damaging the card or having potential of the card getting damaged when they try to pull it out of the card saver 1. Alright guys, so that does it for this video. If you guys like this video, please click the like button. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. If you guys want to see some more content, please click the subscribe button, as it helps me grow my channel. And I'll have some more video coming up later in this week. One of the plans that we've got is actually going over stock investments, as this is a investing channel. So if you guys have any questions or have any suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get those answered back to you. And thanks. Have a good week.